This is a Clouds weather alert.
Meteorologist Casey Cloud back here in Northern Center on this Friday morning. Yet another tornado warning being issued here for portions of the UN area to about 6:30 a.m. At 5:53, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located 13 miles north of Cross City, moving east about 25 miles an hour. So areas of Dixie and Lafayette counties included until about 6:30 this morning. So we need to get you guys in that interior room away from windows right now. That's been on the Doppler really sewing pretty tight again, unfortunately. You can really see it here northeast of the community of Hines, southwest of Hats Bend. Need to get folks into shelter here. A dangerous situation on this Friday morning. I know if you weren't with us all night long, we started our flash flood stream there for Pensacola, and we had to quickly switch that into a stream about tornadic activity in our local counties. So we ended up having many tornado warnings there toward that Taylor County region, including a couple PDS tornado warnings, a couple different pretty well-defined debris signatures. I mean, they really stood out. Mainly rural areas, I'm hoping, but we are starting to get some damage reports in here. So I have to figure out exactly who got hit because a good amount of areas there in that region got hit, and we're just hoping more of them there really were in those rural zones. They're hoping pretty much everybody that got hit was, but that probably wasn't the case. But just watching this tornado warning right now. Again, we're back with you here in the Weather Center. Just a crazy pattern that doesn't want to relent here. Eventually, Jacksonville's office is going to have to issue another tornado warning, possibly toward Gilchrist County, if this holds together. But you can see the spin here again, tightening back up on us pretty quickly. It's near northeast. It looks like 876th Avenue. So you got to take just under precautions in here right now. Looking at a possible tornado in that area. I noticed really the frame before was a little bit intriguing. I don't think that was anything though necessarily matching up with our correlated coefficient product, but I'll kind of try to load all of our frames in just to make sure. We've had, again, debris signatures overnight. If you weren't with us during the overnight, we had to switch our coverage there pretty rapidly there as we were looking there into toward those overnight hours. Again, now some of you might just be really waking up to this live stream and just not realizing here what has happened, Roy, with all these tornado warnings popping up through the night. Just a chaotic situation here in terms of getting these circulations to come together. I know we ended up having just terrible flooding though around Escambia County, the Panhandle. That was our headline earlier on. As you can kind of see about right here, I was at Northeast 876th Avenue. There might have been something there. I don't know for sure. At least it's not really well defined like what we were seeing on some of these debris signatures earlier on toward Taylor County. But again, a nasty situation here for sure. As for watching things across portions of the viewing area, again, a new tornado warning here until about 6:30 this morning. We need to get you guys into shelter here across parts of Dixie and Lafayette counties. Again, another area really coming together potentially. As I know, Jackson was going ahead and issued a severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible tag for Gilchrist until 6:45, but they can always upgrade that to a tornado warning if it's necessary. Areas like Trenton and Vail underneath this, so this could ultimately get toward Alachua County if things hold together. We were hoping they wouldn't, but they kind of faded for a little while and then they came back together again. So a tricky situation for sure here on this early Friday period here as we're looking at things in the Weather Center to protect you, your friends, and your family. So again, just trying to keep you guys safe out there the best we can. You can see right now this is southwest of Hats Bend where we have this spin 13 miles north of Cross City. That's down here if you're wondering. Mainly rural areas of the indicated county, but it does include areas like Fletcher here. They're in this polygon. So again, a new tornado warning here in the last few moments. So 6:30, and the severe thunderstorm warning issued so far for the Jacksonville office until 6:45. So again, it's always our policy to be on whenever there's tornado warning storms moving through our 62 county areas. So that's what we're on for right now, to keep you guys safe and informed. And to be precise, where we're at right now, we're talking about areas there. We're talking about areas there out toward Dixie and Lafayette counties. So again, that's kind of gives you an idea of where we're at with the geography of things. Again, getting into your room right now if you're in toward this area. So what are we talking about, Roy? Let's go ahead and pull up those tornado safety tips. Get as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Protect yourself from flying debris by putting on a bicycle helmet or a football helmet in this type of circumstance. And we're going to go ahead now and go on over toward our rotation tracker. We're just picking up that rotation once again here. You can see that in northern parts of Dixie County here at this point. Northern parts of Dixie County, again, popping back up again. And it could move in toward Gilchrist County here in the next little bit. So early heads up with that severe thunderstorm warning to point about 6:45. So about 6:45 there. That severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible tag. Again, it's on right on the edge of the instability, so maybe we can kind of get it to get out of this instability here some more and then not be as big of a problem. But you just never know here in this setup. I know the parameters have just been right on the edge of that, but the tornado parameters have been further on in here, and things are just able to come together just enough to be problematic on us here on this Friday morning in these overnight hours that we were with you here, keeping you guys safe and informed. And now here in this early time frame as well as you're trying to start that Friday out. So again, zooming out, we have to have some flash flood warnings continuing. The rain's moved away from these spots after a while, just sitting over Perry. I mean, you can see that 12-hour estimate there, 7 inches of rain there around Perry, but at least they're drawing out, of course, Escambia County. That estimate even more significant there. Talking about over a foot of rain. I mean, many spots there just coming down in such a short period of time, guys. And a lot of problems. And it looks like we're starting to get, at least here in the last little bit, maybe a little bit more of that moisture trying to edge back in there into that bottom polygon. It kind of moved out of it a little bit there, and then now it's trying to kind of come back in a bit there towards some of those coastal locations. So I know it's not as widespread, but toward Gulf Breeze, they don't need any more heavy downpours there. And it seems like it's trying to at least come back into play to some degree there on that broad view. But again, looking here at the Doppler radar right now, tornado warning in the red box until about 6:30 this morning. Portions of Dixie and Lafayette counties. At 5:53, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado is located 13 miles north of Cross City, with east or so about 25 miles an hour. A little bit of that southerly component that will be noted with it as well. So I'm watching in toward Gilchrist County and maybe eventually in toward southwestern Alachua County. But we'll see what trajectory it takes. I mean, it could always go a little bit further north here, or maybe it'll just kind of fade away on us. That'd be some good news, but you just never know here. Well, that doesn't look like it's fading away. Let's go back over here right now. That may be some beginnings of a debris signature there again. We haven't had that in a little while with this accident axle, even though we had it earlier on in the night a bunch. But I mean, I'm hearing some thunder even where I'm at here east of Stark. Just a volatile night, but we're not really getting right now much too close to here actually, which is interesting. Maybe hearing it from areas there just in the vicinity. I mean, I think maybe this strike further east north of Alachua County there maybe, but again, trying to give you the latest here. This is about 6,000 feet up or so. Hopefully we don't start to get like a debris signature popping out. It's not anything well defined yet to be sure of, but we'll have to just keep watching here. It's kind of in a weird spot still. But again, tornado warning here. Talking about winds coming together here, gate to gate, pretty tight. 54 one way, 40 the other way. So that's winds of over 90 miles an hour, according to this. So they're above the surface. They could be getting down to the surface. You could be a little bit higher, a little bit lower in terms of what we're getting down there. But again, a tornado warning in play. We're not in the most populated area, but northern parts of Dixie County right now is where this is at. And then again, it could translate off into ward areas there in Gilchrist County. Maybe areas like, if I'm pronouncing this right, Wani there. Later on in the timeline. Could be closer to Bell, though, so something to watch there toward Bell. That's why there's just a thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible tag issued for those areas. Jacksonville, responsible for Gilchrist, Tallahassee, for areas to the north and west. And I think they still could issue a tornado warning toward the south and east here. East-southeast. It's just, they just wanted to go ahead and give some type of preliminary warning here to let the people know what could be headed their way ultimately. So just at least to give them that first alert per se in some regard. Maybe a second alert will come later down the line though in the form of tornado warning. So again, this is where your spin is really tight here. Again, the greens and reds coming together. You see that spin, the spinning icon there. as we're getting all the latest scans on in here. Definitely watching that situation here. Check for debris again. Hopefully I don't see any, but gotta keep looking, gotta keep checking here. I get a tornado warning for parts of Dixie and parts of Lafayette counties until about 6:30 this morning. You can definitely see those winds. These are winds here in the blue going toward the radar at Moody. These reds are winds going away from the radar at Moody Air Force Base up toward the north. So pretty far away at this point, but storm has such a history and the way it's been just kind of riding the parameters here and causing problems. A signature like this, you kind of have to issue a tornado warning. So that's what they're doing. That's what they've done toward this area. Latest scan now. Check for debris and hope we don't see anything pop out at us. We're about to find out, I think. That really is tight like it looked like. We'd probably start to see some blue in here. That would give us some really cause for concern, but we'll find out here in a second. Just bear with it. We've been talking all night, so that's why I'm not talking maybe as frequently as I generally would here, but we've been on the other stream there with the cover to protect you, your friends, and your family. And the tornado threat wasn't all that evident here going into the night, but we just had a slew of warnings, and then this is just another one to add to that list here at this point. So again, continuing to watch things, continuing to monitor the situation. That latest scan doesn't really show us too much, which is some good news. Maybe a little bit weaker than in terms of just the overall picture. So again, I know we have some of our other sources picking up on stuff. I apologize. So apologize about that. I'm not sure why that happened, but again, we're just trying to keep you guys safe and informed here. Keep you guys safe and informed here on this Friday morning here in the Weather Center. So trying to pop everything up the best we can for you. Making sure our stream's still going over there. I apologize for that in the background. We've had a lot of different things going here in the Weather Center tonight. So just bear with me here because it's been a treacherous period for sure in terms of all these alerts being issued here. So let me go ahead and just continue to watch things, continue to monitor things here in the Weather Center. Tornado warning still in play until about 6:30. Okay, new tornado warning now. They're going to issue one for Gilchrist County because this is holding together too much now. They're going to have to issue one for Gilchrist, and they just did on the board here at 6:45. Tornado warning for areas around Bell until about 6:45. The circulation will be getting toward Bell around 6:30. Eventually, if you can kind of follow the lines here, Newberry could be in line later on. So could areas further over in Alachua County. So that's something to watch closer to sunrise, maybe. We'll have to wait and see, but I mean, even as you get past that a little bit, possibly in that timeline. So something to kind of bear in mind here for sure as we try to give you guys the latest updates here in the Weather Center. I mean, just going to have to keep looking at things here to give you guys the very, very latest details as this timeline does continue to advance on us. So that tornado warning from the Jacksonville office at 6:08, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado is located 8 miles west of Bell, moving east at 25 miles an hour. Just again, if you're really in this type of scenario, you want to try to be in the safest spot possible. That's like an interior room away from windows, a closet, a bathroom, something along those lines. So again, just trying to give you guys some ideas there in this type of threat, in this type of situation. Again, you want to just take those tornado precautions because they are so important here as the timeline does get further and further on. So again, okay, they're not going to say confirmed tornado. So let's see, do we get a debris signature now? We're on the Moody radar. They're saying it's radar confirmed, so I don't see it right off there, but maybe they're seeing something I'm not. So let's just keep watching this here. You might see some type of debris signature pop one out at us. Got to get folks into shelter though, because I think this is on the ground now based on some indications they're seeing at the National Weather Service there, in Tallahassee. So again, we're checking some of our different sources here as well, trying to give you guys the very latest here, how to protect you, protect your friends, and protect your family. So just trying to see what's happening here I know we're on right now because of all the different hazards that are going on here. All those different hazards here, obviously. Pretty big deal. And we just want to go ahead and make sure you're taking heed from them. Okay, that latest scan, it didn't really show it on this. Maybe they're getting it from a different radar source here at this point. So let's see. I mean, let me go ahead and see what we might have in terms of other source here to figure out what's going on in terms of tornadic scenario here. So, I mean, the Moody's site should be the closest here. I'm going to check Tallahassee. Maybe that's where they got it from. It's not impossible, but it would seem a little less likely there that might be where they got it from. I'll go ahead and check it on our source then. Let me go ahead and do that. So let's go ahead and zoom on out here. Let's go ahead and we'll try to give you guys a better vantage point. Let me go ahead and switch on over, and we'll get that worked out here in just a second. But again, there's your red. That's where the tornado seems to be here in parts of northern Dixie County. Again, tornado confirmed tornado here in this area. Just these treacherous patterns here continuing to give us some big time problems. That's what we're following along with right now. So again, that's why we're on the air, to protect you, your friends, and your family. So again, let me see here. I know I'm gonna go ahead and try to. Well, I don't really see the debris. Maybe I'm missing something, but maybe I'm not on the right view. But again, trying this here, maybe a little something, but it's off of Tallahassee. I mean, there's your spin. That's a really tight spin, no doubt. Moving in the direction of Bell here, so gotta be in south around Bell because this is some really dangerous action here coming toward you guys there in Gilchrist County. Seems like it's picking up speed from when we were tracking stuff earlier on, so kind of interesting here to see that trajectory here. Again, tornado warning situation does continue for parts of Dixie, Lafayette, but then into Gilchrist. Really moving from Dixie into Gilchrist here at this point is what we're talking about with this nasty scenario. So again, trying to give you guys the latest information to protect you, your friends, and your family here on this Friday morning. We're working as hard as we can. To get you guys the very latest here as we have this possible tornadic scenario here evolving once again, now starting to move way out of the eastern Big Bend where it's been throughout the night into north central Florida. So that's what, something we got to be watching. As they're telling us here in the chat session that the persistent or rotational couplets approaching the Suwannee River along the Gilchrist-Dixie County line, and that continues pushing east and southeast toward there around 25 miles an hour. It's persistent enough for a tornado warning to be issued. So Jackson was not really confirming it, but the potential tornadic cell be crossing there the Suwannee River as we're looking like it's gonna be toward here Tanos, around some different areas here. Trying my best to pronounce some of these here. We've been going all night, so again, just trying to give you guys an idea. Maybe Garanto Spring there, that might be the right pronunciation. And approaching U.S. Highway 129 in the vicinity of Bell towards 6:30. So this is the Tallahassee radar. Let's check Jacksonville. Maybe they saw something from Jacksonville, but that would be Tallahassee seeing that, which would seem kind of off. But again, let's go back on over here. Again, the tornado warnings continue in this setup. We've been doing this pretty much all night long here, tracking these circulations that coming together on us, causing these big time issues towards some of these different spots across our area. So just trying to get the best views for you guys here. I know this isn't in the greatest spot for radar coverage. But let's check the Jacksonville radar now. And again, maybe a little something in there, but it's not 100% definitive. But we'll watch it obviously as this gets closer toward Bell here over the next little bit. I mean, some of these radars have a little bit different spot than others. That's why you got to take center all the way in that old polygon there, in case it's displaced a little bit to the north or a little bit to the south here in this type of situation. You need to get in the interior room, get away from windows here, put that football helmet on, put that bicycle helmet on, something like that toward Gilchrist County, as we have this moving again out of Dixie County and into Gilchrist County now with this possible tornado. So Again, some nasty weather conditions. That's what we're talking about right now. Moving out of areas there of Dixie and into Gilchrist. So take those tornado precautions. Let me go ahead and go back over to a different radar perspective here, and we'll continue to watch things and continue providing you guys the latest updates. Again, tornado warnings here in play. These rogue areas here, a lot of our areas staying pretty dry and pretty safe here right now, but not that spot there. Things have just not been really wanting to cooperate with us here today in terms of breaking down. Like a lot of times we'll get, we have so much energy there and enough of those sheer characteristics to hold this stuff together in these areas for a lot longer than you really ever see. It's just so bizarre for June. We have all that energy, but you don't have these other parameters normally in play, and when you do, you have problems. So, looking west here of Bell, again, there's your spin. Can't guarantee that's the tornado on the ground, but some spin there on Sea Highway 349 there. Again, moving in out of areas there of Dixie County and into Gilchrist County over the next little bit. Again, trying to get you guys into shelter there right now. Just continuing to watch every scan. This scan here maybe a little bit weaker than some of the previous ones, which would be some good news, but we've had a weekend, we've had it strengthen, and it got really tight there for a few scans. Maybe dropped a tornado there, and then now it's headed off toward Gilchrist County, and you need to take shelter around Bell. You're not under too many tornado warnings there in Bell, but you're under one right now there, at least for another officially 27 minutes, unless it gets canceled out early. So take shelter there around Bell and Gilchrist County. This is something you don't want to mess around with here around Bell. So again, trying to give you guys the latest information to protect you, your friends, and your family here. Again, we're following this tornadic situation going between some of our different radar sources here. You can see our threats here across our area. We're really just confined to that area of the viewing circle. I know we talked about it earlier on. They're still calling this a confirmed tornado, by the way. I mean, they're still confirming this based on radar, but let's go ahead and kind of go further on back toward the west here and just remind you guys, terrible flooding around Pensacola, such a big storyline there. And then also going back, we have just extreme winds around Jackson, Mississippi as well. 80-mile-an-hour winds there, knocking out so much power. These storms have been knocking out so much power for a while, going further back in toward the timeline. But right here, right now in North Florida, we have tornado warnings here in play until about 6:30, 6:45. You have areas like Dixie and Lafayette until about 6:30, and Gilchrist until about 6:45 this morning under this tornado threat. Let me go ahead and switch back on over here. Again, we could have a tornado in this area, so you want to just make sure you're getting into your room, away from windows right now. As we're tracking this potential, you can kind of see how we've been monitoring here over the last little bit. I have it zoomed in a little bit tight. I'll zoom out just a little bit more, but I had to go to a thunderstorm warning for a little while, but then we're going to back up and prompt a new tornado warning. So that's kind of where we're at right now. Going ahead to the end of that loop there. Still in Dixie, but it's going to be in Gilchrist County here pretty soon. It's going to be in Gilchrist County here pretty soon. As we're monitoring this threat here. Don't really see the debris, but the weather service in Tallahassee is calling it a confirmed tornado based on radar. So make sure you take your standard precautions here, obviously, in this whole region. Can't be messing around here. This possible tornado could be near County Road 353. That's more populated areas here as we're looking in Dixie County versus some of these other areas we've been in with it here with these storms overnight. So if that's producing, it could be causing a little bit more damage, and that could be a little bit more problematic. So again, take those tornado precautions here right away. It would be rain wrapped. We've talked about that before, but it would be rain wrapped, this tornadic situation that we're talking about here. Can't mess around here toward areas as we're getting from the eastern Big Bend and toward north central Florida. Again, dangerous tornadic activity. And that's the headline here right now. You can see the greens, 53-mile-an-hour winds one way, and then the reds, 30, 40 other way. There's your latest update. Trying to give you guys everything we can here. Again, watching the speed and watching the direction here. You can see what we're talking about. Kind of be going more like this, but it could still try to edge back to the east. That's why you're in that tornado warning in Bell. But we kind of watch it here, and I mean in that mode it kind of has it going. My scan kind of diving a little, so maybe more like this then. And that could be an issue toward Alachua County later on. We'll just have to watch and we'll just have to track. But hopefully it falls apart before it ends. But we've been hoping this stuff would fall apart for a while. It weakened some and it re-strengthened on us again. So just can't mess around with it here in these type of setups. Again, some vigorous activity. What we're talking about here, some really vigorous activity with these tornado warnings here in play. This one in play and go to the east of 6:45, to the west of 6:30. I want the west to be allowed to expire at 6:30. But the accent to the east here, something we'll have to just continue to watch here. Continue to monitor. We're just gonna have to be making sure you guys are still in shelter there around Bell for a little bit longer here in this type of situation. Again, the tornado warning threats continue. And that's where we're at with this right now. Again, just a spin here on the Doppler algorithms. Going to be crossing here some of these different roads potentially in the Gilchrist County, like northeast 78th Avenue here. Short order. Can't be messing around here. Just in case there's a tornado on the ground. We've already had a history of stuff toward Taylor County earlier. That was pretty apparent. And there may have been a touchdown here in Dixie based on what the service is thinking over the last little bit. So it's kind of what we're looking at here. I know trying to go up some tilts here. Trying to see if we can find some of that debris that they were talking about. And there may be some of it in there for sure. We just don't know 100%. So again, we have this spin here in the Doppler. Have this spin here. Again, you need to make sure you're taking all those tornado precautions here as we're getting into Gilchrist County. Interior room away from windows and the like. Let me go ahead and pull up our coverage map to remind you guys where we're at. So again, going out of areas like Dixie and Lafayette and toward Gilchrist. So that's where Bell is, of course, like we've talked about here. And I mean, there's some of those surrounding areas is where we're getting. I mean, Trenton's in there too, but Trenton's not under tornado warning here at this point. So that's some good news. Just continuing to watch things here in the Weather Center. Continuing to give you guys the very latest. It's just our policy to be on these type of scenarios. So that's what we're doing here. We're trying to keep you guys safe and informed. The service giving us an update out of Jacksonville now. So 624 severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado is located just west of Bell. We're east at about 25 miles an hour. So Bell around 6:30. Getting into where this threat here potentially. So gotta be taking shelter here. Interior room away from windows. Put that football helmet on maybe. Put that bicycle helmet on. And one of those options, that's something you may want to take advantage of here. And just make sure you're trying to protect yourself from flying debris. And I know sometimes in these scenarios you even want to put those shoes on here as well, because in the aftermath of a tornado, you're trying to get out of that area that you're in, that safe spot, and you're going to cut your feet up if you don't have shoes on that broken glass that's around. So, again, I know I'm losing my voice. I've just been on for so long, the last several days, and the threat just is seemingly never ending. So, I apologize about that, but I'm just doing the best I can here to keep you guys up to date, keep you, your friends, and your family safe and informed. We're just going to go ahead and keep looking here. And again, 53 miles an hour of wind one way, about 22 the other way here. Again, watching things, there's Bell, and just that trajectory here. Again, it was kind of north of there earlier on, so that's why I think it might slip south of town, but can't guarantee it. Can't guarantee that. Just continuing to watch here. Continuing to take heed of this threat, obviously. The Dixie and Lafayette threat will be over here in a few moments. We're going to be watching the Gilchrist County here. This tornado warning this morning. Just can't be taking chances like we've talked about. Trying to give you guys the very latest. Trying to give you the very latest here to protect you, your friends, and your family. Again, 6:26 is the time right now. Let me go ahead and see some more of our parameters here in play. We'll go ahead and do that. Bear with me. Again, here's a look there. Significant tornado parameters. Your stability is supposed to be slacking off as we get further away from the coast, but we'll just have to wait and see. It's to kind of an equal distance in some ways, and they were tapping into some of this instability that's available here. So that's always the problem here as we're looking towards some of these spots, but eventually, hopefully, it'll just break on down. We thought it had to at one point, and then it re-emerged on its redeveloped and causing us some more problems here on this Friday morning. Just continuing to give you guys the very latest. I'm going to go back on over right now to the other view. And that's the bell. You can see it again, the greens and the reds coming together here. There's a tornado. It could be near Northwest 70th Avenue here in Gilchrist County. So make sure you're taking your tornado precautions. Again, this could be some pretty nasty stuff that we're talking about here. Pretty nasty stuff that we're dealing with in toward this area. Nobody ever wants to deal with a tornado, that's for sure. And be getting ready for work. You're not expecting something like this to be evolving on us like we're getting right now. So to continue to take heed as this is seemingly, again, trying to get closer and closer here toward Bell, but it's kind of maybe trying to go on the south side of town if nothing else. If it is going to come into town, it'll be the south side. So that's kind of your storyline there around Bell in Gilchrist County. So make sure you're taking shelter there. Nonetheless, whether we think it's headed north, south, whatever, respect these polygons. Take your tornado precautions. And the one to the west is going to expire in 2 minutes, but the one to the east here goes all the way to 6:45. So that's another 17 minutes here for areas around Bell in Gilchrist County. So again, that's what we're dealing with right now. Again, thanks so much again for tuning in here. We're just trying to relay this information the best we can. And we've just been talking so long here at this point, so my voice might be a little bit lower than it normally is here. But we're just trying to get everything out we can here. We have to spin on the Doppler algorithms. So again, looking at it right here, you can see these greens and reds coming together. Again, definitely something to watch here. Definitely something to monitor. You can see all that heavy rain. Again, this would be rain wrapped, so I mean it's from sunrise now, but you still wouldn't be able to see it because it's wrapped in rain anyway. Such an odd and bizarre time to have something like this around here. This doesn't even generally happen around here like this too much at this time of day, no matter what time of year it is, and much less in summertime. It's just so bizarre. This whole pattern has been so bizarre all week long. Something you never see around here. Okay, so new alerts now being issued. So we're at 6:29. So severe thunderstorm warning now 7:15 for parts of Alachua and Gilchrist. So the severe thunderstorm over Bell, and they're saying there's a tornado possible tag with this. We have Trent and Newberry that could be getting some impacts from at least 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts and penny-sized hail, but also could end up getting a tornado eventually here if that threat does hold together. So I gotta be kind of mindful of that here. Gotta be mindful of that potential as it does translate along and toward the timeline. Okay, new tornado warning for that's one of the Tallahassee. They've gone ahead and decided to extend this out now a little bit for Dixie County since they don't think it's quite clear for sure that maybe we're not getting the area to reform back behind a little. I mean, there's a little green and red right on that area here just west of State Highway 349. So maybe something trying to develop there. So we're going to go with a tornado warning now for parts of Dixie. And at 6:45 at 6:30, it's a thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado. It was located 8 miles west of Bell, moving southeast at about 30 miles an hour. So mainly rural areas of the indicated county. But oh yeah, I see what they're saying now. It looks like a secondary area, believe it or not. A secondary spin trying to develop here now. That's just east there of State Road 349. A secondary spin on the Doppler algorithm. So again, gotta be taking tornado precautions still in that area then. So that came together pretty quick. So don't see too much there. I just had to warn now you kind of have a secondary area there coming on in the picture. And that may, I mean, the other area is kind of gonna maybe potentially it could cause it to shift direction just a little bit. Then that's again why we say make sure you take SATO whenever these warnings are issued. Again, Northwest 10th Street, Northwest 55th Avenue. Watching the thread around there. Again, all in this heavy rainfall. So, 2 tornado warnings now. And we got a couple of thunderstorm warnings. Plus, we have the flash flood warnings toward the north here. So, yeah, big mess. I mean, the heaviest rain and the rain slacked completely off. They're not raining anymore to the north and west. But the antecedent rain still causing some flooding concerns up there to some degree. But back down to the south here, again, tornado warnings in play. Couple different spins. It looks like I know we get higher up on the radar sometimes. It makes it harder to figure out what's going on. Harder to figure out what's going on in this type of situation. Just trying to give you guys the very latest here at 6:32 on this Friday morning. On this now June 16th, 2023, as these threats just don't want to wind down across our area. The continued tornado warning is the Weather Service in Jacksonville for Gilchrist. They're saying a tornado here at about 6:32 is located over the Bell area here. I mean, at least maybe parts of the city limits. Maybe not downtown, though. Again, like I'm saying, I think it'll go south of there. Unless there's a lot of radar displacement. But it'll probably go south of there by a little bit. Downtown, that is. But there's the area off toward the west. We're going to keep watching here as well. We're going to keep tracking it. Giving you guys the very latest here. Trying to let you guys know what's happening. Definitely important to do in this type of pattern. Again, I've just been in so much water wall coverage here lately. That's why sometimes I'm at a loss for words and taking a little break here because I've just been talking so much. It's kind of maybe a little harder than normal to hear me because losing my voice here at this point. I've been doing this for about 4 days straight now. It's going since about Monday by this time. On and off with coverage. And under the stretch here with tornado warning accents. So we have to stick with you a little bit more than we normally would. So that's what we're doing right now. It's about keeping you guys safe and informed. Now it looks more like maybe one spin again. So there's some illusions going on because we're so high up here on the operator site. So that can make things tricky with radar displacement here for sure. Definitely can be an issue sometimes here because we don't have really good radar coverage out in this neck of the woods. So again, just got to be taking shelter here though in these areas. Again, from Dixie and toward Gilchrist counties. Again, severe thunderstorm warnings in play even out toward the east here toward areas of Gilchrist and Alachua now at 7:15. This is a preemptive move here to make sure everybody's staying warned here. As we get out toward Newberry and Hale there. This threat eventually coming into some of these areas. So, gotta be tracking things here. Gotta be taking those tornado precautions as we're looking at things here across the area. We'll go ahead and zoom out just a little again. If you're wondering about other parts of the region getting ready for work for this Friday, I mean, right now it's not too terrible in most parts of our area. I mean, you have stuff toward Escambia, though we have all that terrible flooding, and we have another wave, though, of storms coming in. Even another wave, maybe. Look at that storm there. Wow. What about the Lufkin? I know. Let me go ahead and take off our tornado warning super for a moment. I don't want to confuse anybody as we move the map over, but again, looking here in Texas, I don't know if I recall in our algorithm seeing a foreign tail signature, much less here this time of day. I mean, that's just bizarre. Headed right for Lufkin. Goodness, these hailstorms have just been awful lately across the country as well, including in our area. We had that 4-inch storm toward Dover, but didn't set the algorithm to that level, so it's possible that's even bigger. Never know. Back to our area here with these tornado warnings in play and severe thunderstorm warnings here in play, and that's what we're on for, the tornado warning threat right now until about 6:45 or so. One of those for parts of Dixie, one of those for parts of Gilchrist. So again, more into Gilchrist right now, more into Gilchrist than areas further off toward the west here. It would seem, I know we had that one scan that kind of popped up though, kind of wildly. So you just never know here exactly what might be trying to get down to the surface because we're looking higher up on the Doppler algorithms. But the possible tornado would seemingly be in here, which would be close to Northwest County Road 342. That's what we're kind of seeing right now, that latest scan. The latest scan now has a maybe closer to Northwest 45th Avenue. Northwest 43rd Court. Maybe on the south side of Bell here. Could be crossing over US Highway 129 here pretty soon in Gilchrist County. Again, tracking this thread here for you to protect you, your friends, and your family. It's all about keeping you guys safe here early on this Friday. Been such a busy stretch here. Doesn't want to relent. I mean, Royal record number of tornado warnings for our area for the month of June. I mean, just keep getting them over and over and over again. It's remarkable, this pattern. One we'll never forget here, and one we hope we'll never have to relive anything like in the month of June. I mean, to get this type of setup with all this instability here, all this shear to come together, and just to last for days and days is something you generally never see. I've never really seen it before that I can recall, or see in the history books, really. So, again, just continue to watch things here. Continue to monitor. You can see we're in the 70s. That's part of the problem, because sometimes you have this pattern in the 40s, 50s. You have more trouble getting this stuff to form. But instead, I mean, you just have so many favorable parameters. I mean, dew points there. I mean, 70 plus in that realm as well. So this is causes problems here. And you see the spin here, close to Bell at least. Maybe south side of Bell is what we've been talking about here for the last little bit. If we have something, that'd be about where it is. Northwest County by 342 maybe now is what we're showing. Kind of sits around here and there, but continuing to watch things here. In the heavy rain, so heavy the rain. I ended up getting some flash flood alerts down here because of all that copious moisture that's falling. A lot of lightning here. It's really nasty storm to start up your Friday here, and again potentially tornadic in nature. So you don't want to be messing around here with stuff that's potentially tornadic in nature. That's what we're seeing right now. That's what we're seeing right now here on this Friday morning. Again, some greens and reds coming together here on the Doppler radar. Trying to give you guys the very latest. Trying to give you guys the very latest of what's going on here. Again, tornado warning here in play at about 6:45. One for parts of Dixie, but more toward Gilchrist County here. It would seem at this point in time. That seems to be where the greatest threat is. And now a new area, a little bit. It looks like on a southern end now. I mean, we're kind of high up, which is going to cause some illusions here, I think. Maybe some southern edge wind, though, showing up, though. So we've got to take shelter, obviously. Can't be messing around here. Again, with this tornado warning in play. Again, so the thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado there. Part of Gilchrist County. Make sure you get that tornado safe spot still. And we'll make it a new warning down to the south here if that little trend there continues on that circulation, on that Doppler algorithm. Maybe a different area trying to emerge there. Hopefully it's just a one scan thing where it's an illusion, because we're so high up here, over 7,000 feet now. And maybe things will start to clear up and we'll see maybe it's weakening on down some, but you just never know at this height here. At this height, as we get further on up into where this set up. So again, watching things. I know we have a thunderstorm warning toward Newberry there. That's toward parts of Gilchrist and parts of Alachua County. Trenton, Newberry involved in this. So some stronger winds, maybe missing out on the worst, especially toward Trenton. Newberry is hard to see at this point, though, so we're going to keep an eye on it for you guys. Got to keep an eye on it there in western Alachua County around Newberry. Just continuing to watch all these scans here as they come on out. Again, the winds were higher up than what we would like to be, but again, we'll just have to keep on tracking. We'll have to keep on watching here as the situation does evolve on us. I mean, you just never know what could happen, what could transpire here down toward that surface, unless you really send a debris signature. Then it tells you a little bit more that something problematic has happened. Did have that some in parts of Taylor County earlier on in that timeline. Seeing some of those, I've given some PDS, particularly dangerous situation, tornado warnings even, toward portions of that eastern Big Bend. So obviously causing some problems here for folks this morning. You just hate to see it. And we'll hope that the damage isn't too substantial, since those are more rural areas than they were filled with population. But we'll just have to still figure that out here as we get a little bit later on in the timeline. Again, zooming back out a little bit. Let's just keep watching this here. Keep giving you guys the very latest. latest rotation track a little bit weaker on this. So we'd like to see, obviously, instead of reds in here, so any yellows, but it's still enough to still be some cause for concern. So they're telling us here in the chat session that the rotational couplet with the Gilchrist Supercell has weakened, and they will likely let the tornado warning expire at 6:45. But the downstream the thunderstorm warning remains in effect for eastern Gilchrist and far western Alachua until about 7:15. So something to kind of bear in mind here as we're looking ahead in the word timeline. Just giving everybody that heads up there, just in case. I know there's another severe thunderstorm warning. I mean, it's not going to quite catch up. They might have to issue another severe thunderstorm warning somehow to edge it back a little bit. Not sure if it's going to catch up quite, if that's what they were to do, but we'll wait and see. You never know. We don't want to say too much, or another tornado warning will pop up because it'll re-strengthen on us. So that's how it's been going. These spins here, just don't want to give up all night, pretty much, just for a little bit. But looking here just east of US, maybe Highway 129, as they're expiring that out. Tallahassee's responsible for the west, but at this point, not going to be much to reissue on for there. But so we'll just keep watching, keep tracking here the situation. Again, watching the overall rotational integrity here of this to see how it kind of evolves on us, kind of how it emerges on us here. It'll be interesting to watch that progress, and definitely kind of intriguing to watch here as we continue our tornado warning coverage. We still have these threats around on this Friday morning, 6:43. Again, the tornado warning is still in effect for parts of Dixie for another couple minutes, Gilchrist for another couple minutes. I know it went off for Gilchrist, but they're still watching this potential here. They're still watching this potential around US Highway 129 for at least some strong wind action, trying to get down toward the surface here. 48-mile-an-hour winds, so showing up on some of our different scans in one area, 30 or 40 the other area. Just some of these, I mean, if you go to gate, maybe not quite as apparent. Still some weak rotation there, but definitely not as tight as it was. That's good news. I mean, as it was earlier on the latest scans, a little bit tighter maybe than as we've kind of been shifting around. Again, I apologize if I'm losing my voice some, but it's all about protecting you, your friends, and your family. So, again, 6:44 is the time right now. The tornado warning action here will be going away, hopefully permanently. Might just be temporary though, but maybe permanently at about 6:45. Still some greens and reds coming together in here we have to watch within the heavy rainfall. So we're going to definitely be watching them here for you. In no other center, just to make sure things don't cause more concern here towards some of these different neighborhoods. So again, we have areas downstream like Clark Hill, Newberry, that could be getting some pretty nasty weather here as we look ahead in the timeline. So got to keep our eyes on that. Got to keep our eyes on that situation. Okay, so 6:45 now, so the two other alerts went away for the time being. Our storm here, technically outside of the warning for now, so I'm not sure if they're going to reconcile that and they send another polygon back to the west, or it could be a tornado warning, or it could be a thunderstorm warning. It could let it right out and see how things go over the next little bit. Probably will at least need a thunderstorm warning, unfortunately, here as it gets to the other box here. I mean, that'll be in play, but talking about maybe needing one now, but I mean, we'll just have to wait and see. Maybe it'll be fading more as it gets away from the instability, hopefully for good. Not just for a temporary period, but for good, because Roy don't like this storm. It's been going for a long time here through the night. So we're not really expecting to a large degree here just to have this type of threat emerge with so many tornado warnings on the board. But we've been tracking them. Okay, so they're continuing to warn with a tornado possible tag. So 7:15 off toward the east here again. So 6:45, the thunderstorm was located near Bell, moving southeast at 20 miles an hour. So Trenton, Newberry included in this, but the worst of this would be there in this area. I mean, you kind of see the path. I mean, it could be an issue for Newberry here later on. Let's see what the speed is on this. So the speed right now is a southeast at 20. So I'll just kind of track this here. So probably about a half an hour away from Newberry, give or take. So if it were to hold together in that direction, maybe we'll get lucky and it'll just right fall apart by the time it gets over to Newberry's way. So we'll just continue to watch things here in the weather center. We'll just continue to watch all these different scans, obviously. Because every one of them is important in determining what's going on here in this type of setup. So, with no tornado warnings in play for now, that could always change very rapidly, as we've been seeing here in these setups. I had to jump on for these last little moments here since around 6 or so. We had the threat before that we were on for hours with. So things can definitely change quickly here in this type of setup. And if they do, we'll jump back into the stream. I'm going to keep this stream going for now. Let me go ahead and kind of get something set on up here, so we at least give you some type of loop on what's been going on here. And so what I'm thinking we're going to do here, if we get a new tornado warning, we'll jump in immediately, of course. If we get another new kind of warning here over the next little bit, we'll jump in, but we won't maybe necessarily stay on with it. But if we don't get any more new warnings and they let us go at 7:15, then we'll probably, after a little bit of just making sure here, then we'll just wrap that stream without coming back. So just kind of giving you a little bit of an idea of what we're planning on doing here. As plans can change, they've been changing here quite a bit through the night. So we're trying to stay on top of things here for you guys to protect you, your friends, and your family. I know more times than not we like to focus on severe thunderstorm warnings too, but when we have to go for hours and hours and hours with tornado warnings, we have to make sure at some point we just kind of give those the more priority, so I can rest my voice when we don't have tornado warnings here in play, and we don't have like disruptive severe thunderstorm warnings like we're seeing way out in Mississippi right now, and even in Texas. We just have the winds that are just extraordinary in nature outside of even a tornado, or hail is extraordinary in nature. So, with no formal tornado warning here in play across our coverage area, we're going to keep the stream going for the time being with the severe thunderstorm warning in play, plus 4 warnings in play too, but that's not going to determine the time on the coverage. Maybe a little bit of hail mixing in here too, by the way, so that's something to keep an eye on. But hopefully, as this kind of leaves that instability a little, we'll finally get it to relent, but it's still just edging along it, which is kind of concerning here with it edging along the instability, because that instability keeps coming in just enough here to be potentially problematic here for us, because you can see it coming on further and further. So definitely something to be watching here for sure in this type of setup. We just definitely don't like this setup here after we've seen all these warnings here go hour and hour and hour after hour. And we've had to cover them here, but it's really important for us to cover them. We really do want to do that. It's just after a while being on, it can really wear you down. But again, for now, meteorologist Casey Cloud here in the Weather Center. We're going to go ahead and turn the mic off. Ready to jump back, and we will, with a new tornado warning, new thunderstorm warning, or flash flood warning even. If we don't get any new warnings out of this, and these get allowed to expire, just talking about the threats with the severe thunderstorm or tornado. Maybe not waiting for the flash flood alerts, but severe thunderstorm, tornado threats. We don't see any of those here in terms of active warnings here as we get past 7:15 or so. We might wrap the stream at that point. So just keep it here to cloud weather. We'll come back if necessary, but for now, thanks so much for tuning in and trusting me. Meteorologist Casey Cloud back here in Northern on this Friday morning. A new tornado warning has been issued now for portions of Gilchrist County until about 7:30 as the rotation rapidly tightening once again, and it should be crossing their County Road 47 north of Trenton over the next little bit. So a new tornado warning in effect. So we're back on right now to keep you, your friends, and your family safe and informed on this Friday morning. Again, some of those greens and reds trying to come back together for a scan or two really tight. You can see that there now in this next scan a little bit weaker, but got to keep watching, got to keep tracking. I know I see in areas around Newberry there as we look later on in the timeline could be impacted. It just holds together. Again, we've been watching this stuff all night. I mean, it's just almost unbelievable with the instability with the sear and play. What we've been getting here toward these different areas. I mean, if you weren't with us during the night on our other stream, we had to switch from talking about just the catastrophic flooding around Pensacola to talking about the situation there, toward areas there around not just in Pensacola, but our local area with all the tornado warnings coming into play. We got debris signatures. There are multiple tornado touchdowns, and some of them are rural areas, but still in parts there of Taylor County. So again, just some crazy stuff here that we've been having to deal with here in the Weather Center in this pattern over the previous days, and now still, more tornado warnings popping up on the board right now. Again, a new tornado warning here until about 7:30 for parts of Gilchrist County. So again, a lot of times we'll go here in our areas with a long period without tornado warnings, but it's been almost wall-to-wall tornado warnings here. I mean, going back the last 5 hours or so, it's, again, we were not expecting a tornado threat to really emerge. That's what makes this even more cruel in some ways. I mean, we were not seeing that in the official forecast from the Storm Prediction Center. So it's just a bizarre scenario. But again, new tornado warning to 7:30. So the particulars on this was that this tornado wasn't too far north of Trenton at 6:54, moving southeast at 20 miles an hour. So still kind of rural areas that we're talking about, which is helpful, but still gotta take those tornado precautions. Move to that interior room on the lowest floor of your sturdy building. Avoid those windows, and if you're outdoors in a mobile home or in a vehicle, move to that closest substantial shelter and protect yourself from flying debris. Remember also, heavy rain may hide this tornado, so do not wait to see or hear it. Take cover now. So again, some nasty conditions here in parts of the area right now. Parts of Gilchrist County now. If you guys are wondering where Gilchrist County is, I know we're in Bradford County, and I'll go ahead and see you guys. I covered the map to show you that Gilchrist is due west of Alachua, and that means Alachua and Newberry there. Alachua County and Newberry could be getting impacted here over the next little bit with maybe a tornado warning coming in that direction. So gotta be kind of mindful here with what's going on. You can definitely see here some winds trying to tighten on this a little bit. We'll just have to continue to watch things here as they move on into the picture. I know, definitely see some nasty conditions here. I know we're pretty high up though, which kind of makes it a little bit tricky sometimes. I think sometimes it causes us to have a little bit a tighter looking spin or a little bit weaker looking spin depending on the overall situation that we're in. It kind of obscured us, but still gotta go with the tornado warning in this type of situation. It seems with everything that's happened through the night and with the type of circulation on the Doppler radar that we're dealing with right now. So again, where we're at, I know we're in Stark. It's not headed our way, thankfully, but it could be impacting parts of Alachua County here as we look later on in the timeline as we're getting here past that sunrise period. I mean, unbelievable to think about it. This has been holding on for that long. Some of these different areas, this one in particular, I mean, holding on since when we were out to work period with that. I mean, that's a long way away, folks. And had these other areas here spinning up, causing us problems. I have our loop up on our other source. I know we cut away from that real quick to jump in. So I just wanted to jump in as quick as I could to keep you guys safe and informed. But there's our loop with some of that stuff. You can see had a little bit of a break here a couple times with some warnings in play for a moment, and then we had to go back with tornado warnings. So again, that's kind of the nature of things in this type of setup. So continuing to watch things here for sure. And we have that red box on the screen now until about 7:30 this morning, parts of Gilchrist County. Again, really bizarre setup. We have the instability here, just edging in and out from the coast, mixing with these more than favorable tornado parameters for this time of year, and that causes problems. So that's what we're dealing with right now. I mean, we haven't been able to get anything to cut this off like other storms to develop around it. That might be something once we get the heat of the day, maybe we would get other storms to develop around it and that would cut it off. But I mean, you actually see some storms, look like some storminess there, St. Johns County developing. I mean, don't want to get too much because these parameters are pretty favorable in some ways for tornadic activity. So it's a give and take here, and there's a lot going on really in this type of setup. I know we've had that flash flood emergency situation toward Pensacola, and then you've had the situation out of the west with just the really extreme winds knocking out so much power there toward those states. I mean, we were talking about Texas earlier, so many people losing power, and I mean, there's a lot of issues around Jackson, Mississippi from these winds, and some of this stuff could be working back into our area later on. So, gotta be mindful of that. But right now we have the tornado warning here for parts of Gilchrist County here until about 7:30. And it spins weaker than it was, which is what we like to see. I think the radar is just kind of, the angle of it is not helping us here at this point. It's making it really kind of tricky to see exactly what's going on. And as I say that, an X-scan is a little tighter again. I mean, you saw how it's kind of, I mean, the color's bright, and this one's tight again. So we'll have to just keep watching for debris. If we had a debris signature, that would have to get really high, meaning more significant tornado. Again, looking here northeast of Trenton, parts of Gilchrist County, tornado warning here until about 7:30 this morning. Again, it's a thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado not too far away from Trenton here in Gilchrist County. We're just going to have to keep watching this and keep tracking it here as it traverses portions of the area. You can see some of these brighter yellows, indicative of some stronger wind on that one mode. This mode here, the greens and the reds coming together, definitely some nastier conditions. And with us not getting storms across a lot of our area, I know we had earlier on, we had all the storms, they kind of, stopped the other storms from getting as intense. But this time, we might have a situation where we have more instability around, as we don't have competing storms when some of this other stuff comes in. It's possible. Don't know. A lot of speculation with this setup that really never seen before in June, as it continues to wreak havoc here. We'll see. There's some unanswered questions here. Trying to say things best I can here, as we've been gone for so long, so many hours here. This second stream we've had during the night, this last morning here at this point. We were on for a while, of course. I mean, we started out with that flash flooding stream, but then had to transition it to the tornado threat stream there. And that really started to take off here toward portions of our area. Let's go ahead and go on over to our other view here. Storm relative velocity went to 45 miles an hour one way, 47 the other way now. We're just going to keep watching. I mean, that's a pretty tight spin there, right around Tyler Road. So have to keep looking at that and see if that touches on down and causes some problems. This may go south of Newberry a little bit based on the latest look at things, but it's a broad spin in some regard. So everybody, if they extend this around Newberry, you got to take south as well there. We'll just have to see what they decide to do here over the next few moments. And that's the weather service in Jacksonville now is responsible. And all but Tallahassee all night long, but now in the Jacksonville jurisdiction, and that county warning area changed once it got from Dixie over into Gilchrist. So again, just got to keep watching, got to keep tracking here. Again, looking at all of our different scans, it's really intriguing here to watch the progress of things in the Weather Center on this Friday morning. Everybody's keeping an eye on things here. Everybody's keeping an eye on these type of scenarios. Again, this tornado warning is 7:30. The thunderstorm warning goes till 7:15, but we'll see what they decide to do here over the next few moments. Weather service in Jacksonville. By the way, this is north of State Road 26. Just so you guys know, just for some perspective there, geographic perspective. So again, just gonna keep looking at things. Let me go ahead and zoom back on out. I mean, we just had so many tornado warnings during the nighttime period across our area, something that you just don't normally really ever. I mean, I don't recall ever seeing a pattern quite like this one. I mean, we already had the crazy stuff in Georgia, but Not to get this many tornado warnings in the overnight. It's just really just even maybe taking it to even a more bizarre level. I mean, I'll go and count them up now. Try my best here to count them up. I mean, the numbers of tornado warnings here during the night: 1, 2, 3. Looking like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Maybe that's about 14 if I'm counting right, which is just craziness, folks. But as we're looking here, you can see the greens and reds still coming together on the Doppler. Still seeing that spin here within the algorithms, which is cause for concern. And that's why people still need to be taking their tornado precautions when you have a threat like this in place. Again, some heavy rain there. I don't know if we've ever had, a threat quite like, it's anywhere hardly in the country. 14 tornado warnings with no official tornado risk, all in the nighttime hours, really, when people are sleeping. Now we're starting to get people waking up here, maybe trying to go to work on this Friday morning to realize there's, in some spots, tornadoes that have hit, or in other spots, like this one, the tornado threat here, headed toward where they're at around Newberry. So, gotta keep watching, gotta keep tracking here. We're gonna go and zoom back on out. Again, tornado warning continues in this red box. There's tornado threat here, northeast of Trenton. Can't mess around here. Can't mess around for sure. I know it's a little brighter on our rotation tracker right now than it was, because you can see here, I'll go back, there's some red in there. A little bit brighter, but there's still some spin in here for sure, so you don't want to lay a guard down here, as we're in parts now, really, of north central Florida versus the Big Bend region. Again, still watching things, still tracking them here this morning. I know that one flash flood warning we had toward the north went away, but the one toward Mayo still going to 8 o'clock this morning. So have all that catastrophic flash flood scenarios. Those catastrophic flash flood scenarios still ongoing there in terms of these alerts out toward Pensacola. The rain's pretty much subsided, but the damage is going to take a while to recover from, with 14, 15 inches of rain, maybe some spots more than that, really. Counting more in feet the rain than inches there. Already starting to get these storms to move into the picture here in East Mississippi now. Again, those are so destructive in nature. They had a really nasty night up there. Really nasty night up in that area. We'll have to see what they do, because that could be a problem for our area later on. As we look here in the timeline, just continuing to watch things. That might be the type of track they take. We'll see. We'll have to just wait and see here. We'll hope that they weaken on down here and we get lucky. We haven't got lucky with some of these events. Some of them, lucky as in it got over to more populated areas, but still, just continuing to give you guys the very latest here this morning from the Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Casey Cloud. Again, a tornado warning input at 7:30 for parts of Gilchrist County. Again, the greens here, winds of 41 way or so, and then winds the opposing way, maybe it's 60, but we're not sure if this is all reaching down to the surface or not. This latest scan had it getting close to State Road 26 now, so I'm continuing the tornado warning here. The Santa tornado is now 7 miles east of Trenton. 7 miles east of Trenton, moving east at about 20 miles an hour. So the update here, talking about mainly rural areas of southeastern Gilchrist County, but there are some homes in here. So this is actually touching down. It would be hitting some of these homes. As I know, we're looking at the radar out of Moody, but again, just kind of giving you guys an idea of what we're talking about. And that's about 8,000 feet up. I'm kind of wondering, I know they're not really necessarily closer, but I'm just curious some of the views. Let's try Tampa's radar. I know it's not going to be closer, but it's pretty far up here. And Southern rotation isn't quite as much, but we're looking way high up, so that's something to keep in mind. I'm going to try Jacksonville's radar now. We'll check that back on in a moment. I got a little bit of a thunderstorm around St. Augustine right now. Nothing too intense over there, I don't think, but also Marion County, little storm there, but this is where we've had that tornadic activity still hanging together. That potential west of Newberry there. Newberry's in Alachua County, so if they were to extend this, they'd extend it in to Alachua County. I know this morning goes to 7:30, but I'll have to probably make that call before then, maybe closer to 7:15, because where this would be headed and just kind of the time frame. I mean, that other one only goes to 7:15. That was what they were flipped, and then could do it that way, but they would keep the warning and add the tornado warning if needed. But kind of a tricky situation here as we continue to watch things across the area. I mean, just so bizarre. As we talked about, so a new severe thunderstorm warning now for portions of Alachua and Gilchrist. It's going to 7:45, so it's going to get us further on out then, further on out in the view. I know we're switching radars and whatnot, so just if you're wondering what we're doing, in the Jacksonville radar at this point seems like it might be starting to get a little bit closer for us. I mean, just looking at different couplets and the like here. So what we might have here, I mean, one tornado warning goes to 7:30. That's the only tornado warning, and then we have the thunderstorm warning that it goes until about 7:45. It does include parts of Gainesville here. So Gainesville, Alachua, Archer, University of Florida, and Newberry through about 7:45. A severe thunderstorm located 10 miles south of High Springs or 11 miles east of Trenton, moving southeast at 20 miles an hour. So it's a situation here where we could have some stronger wind. It seems like if we had the strongest wind action with this in the form of maybe some damage in wind, it would go to the south here. Maybe, maybe Newberry and toward Redondo, and not as much there on the north side of Gainesville or Gainesville Airport at least. But we'll just have to keep looking at everything here on the Doppler, trying to give you guys the very latest with that. So again, we've been really just really infested, I guess you could say, with tornado warnings here through the night. I mean, just seeing so many of them pop one up here. I mean, like I said, over a dozen tornado warnings for parts of our area without a formal severe weather risk, which might be about a record here, at least for our area. That probably has to be a record for our area that I can ever remember in terms of the counties that I cover, which a lot of those, those warnings, most of them were Tallahassee, but some couple there, Jacksonville. As we continue to watch, continue to monitor. Again, you see that there, southwest of Newberry. Some of that spin showing up on the Doppler. We'll see if they keep the tornado warning in the east, but right now the way they issued this would make me think they want to try to go severe thunderstorm warning and not tornado warning. As we're getting further down toward the south and the east here. I mean, we could have some pretty nasty weather though still around Newberry. Maybe some hail mixing as you can still hear our computers. They've been working just in overdrive here lately. Hopefully this pattern will come to an end soon. I mean, they're gonna go with a new tornado warning. They don't feel confident enough in dropping this then. They don't feel confident enough in dropping this, so they're gonna go with a new tornado warning now. This one's a 7:45, parts of Gilchrist and parts of Alachua. So at 7:13, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located there 8 miles east of Trenton, moving southeast at 25 miles an hour. So this could be near Archer around 7:40, and Newberry here also. Probably more about Newberry than Archer, I would say, at this point, but keep watching it around Archer. You're under the tornado warning, but more about Newberry here at this point. It seemed like with this tornado could be getting closer there. They look at the mapping and it's moving out of Gilchrist and into Alachua, maybe closer to West Newberry Road then. You're in this type of setup. Again, this tornado warning continuing till about 7:45. Again, the latest information that we're getting in at 7:13, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado 8 miles east of Trenton, went southeast there at about 25 miles an hour. So I'm going to go and get you guys in shelter in this new red box. So I said interior room away from windows, putting as many walls, obviously, between you and the outside as possible. So let's go ahead and go over some of those tornado safety tips here right now. We'll go ahead and pop those up on the screen. So whenever you have this tornadic type of situation, football helmet, bicycle helmet can help you guys out there as well. You just don't want to be caught without sturdy shelter, but I mean, those can help you if you have that flying debris and you're at home or something like that. And then also if you're at home, keep in mind the shoes. Make sure you put your shoes on. If you have this type of threat and you're going to a tornado safe spot, because if you get out of that tornado safe spot there and you're trying to seek help, you don't want to cut your feet up on the glass that's around. So again, let's go ahead and go back on over here. Again, west of Newberry, we're seeing some of this spin. It's not as well defined as earlier, that's for sure. Definitely not as well defined as earlier with the switching radars, but still seeing enough here for them to reissue a tornado threat here further on out to the east. So gotta keep taking shelter here as we continue to watch, continue to monitor things. You can see the threat here. Parts of Alachua County. A debris signature, but it would take quite a bit to get a debris signature out here because we're pretty high up. We're pretty high up here on our Doppler scans. So that's kind of the storyline there right now. As we continue here, you see all this heavy rain. I mean, that makes things really treacherous with the lightning around too for driving. You really don't want to be driving anywhere around Newberry right now, whether there's a tornado or not, because I mean, this is just some really nasty weather. Maybe some small hail mixing in as well. So, I mean, obviously with all this around, you wouldn't be able to see a tornado if it was trying to touch down anyway, but definitely some nasty weather. If there's a tornado, probably right here, southwest side of Newberry, maybe around somewhere in the vicinity of Southwest 30th Avenue. If there's a tornado here around Newberry, that's probably where we're tracking it more than anything right now. Again, continuing to watch things, continuing to give you guys the latest updates. It's all about protecting your friends, you and your family. So again, all the different alerts in play. Storm that just doesn't want to give up here. Let's go ahead and go back on over to weather mode. Again, our energy here is cutting off, but it's just, there's enough here, and we're at sunrise now too, which could be part of the issue, but there's enough here to keep this going, to maintain this threat. I know some of these threats here earlier in the year didn't verify for our areas, but today a different story. I mean, things, I mean, the last few days, really, this event here has been one that we won't be forgetting for a while, that's for sure. But the instability there a moment ago, showing you that it's on the edge there. Excuse me, but our tornado parameters, though, they're mixing on in here with the unstable atmosphere and causing us some issues. And we had all that lightning around here too, which already makes things feel pretty nasty around as you're seeing that. But definitely that cloud display, that vivid, lightning display in the cloud, I should say, causing some cause for concern there when people aren't maybe taking heed whenever thunder roars. Go indoors. So again, southwest of Newberry here is where we could have the tornado right now. I'm going to put my mouse on the screen here. I'll go ahead and put my mouse up here. Could be right in here. Could be where the tornado is. So we'll be watching to see how this translates over the next little bit. Again, if this holds together, it seems like it'd be taking a path south of Gainesville proper, but maybe more, as it seems like it's dipping south a bit, maybe crossing over there, US 27, but then maybe closer to Arredondo, and then maybe somewhere there between maybe Gainesville, Micanopy, or Arredondo, Micanopy at that point in time. So we'll just have to wait and see how far it goes. Hopefully it'll start to diminish some more, but you just never know. Things have just been so volatile here in this setup. Our temperatures, our dew points, are a lot higher than you normally would have for these type of storms to be around. So you get all the heat, you get all the nasty weather, and then you get the setup here, really, where everything isn't able to take off, because with all that in play, then you get the shear, and we're not used to having that with all that other action in the atmosphere available. It's very bizarre forcing. So I know I'm going to go ahead and go to a broad view now, I think, because a lot of our areas are pretty dry as you're going to work, even though we have a tornado warning here in parts of Alachua and Gilchrist. I mean, there are some areas with lighter rain, but in the Tallahassee office, talking in the chat, that after a night that overperformed across the Florida counties and over the Gulf waters, are now in a short lull. The next cluster is coming in fast across Mississippi, into southwest Alabama right now, and it produces 62-mile-an-hour wind gusts there at the Jackson Airport. It will maintain this kind of potential as it reaches the western service area in just a short few hours. That's talking about areas there like Defeniak Springs. It'll be a little longer until it gets into our coverage area, but still, as we kind of track this on out, I mean, we're talking about 4 hours from our coverage area here at this point, give or take, depending on the exact angle it takes. So, just from our western counties. So, the quicker these tornado warnings can go off the board, a little more time we might have for a little bit of break here in the Weather Center before we're back at it again with maybe some extreme damage and wind events, at least in our western counties. So, hopefully the winds will be dying on down some with the lack of instability in some of these spots, but you see what I'm talking about there. But you just never know here. They might be able to withstand that loss here for a little bit longer since they've just been so nasty all the way from Texas. But again, looking at a tornado warning here around Alachua County, a couple of them, and there's two, but really, they're kind of overlapping. So I've been focusing on the one here as it kind of gets further on out. As it gets further on out here, still have those greens and reds coming together. Again, looking toward County Road 28. Again, continuing to follow along here in this weather situation. Again, you can see the heavy rain. You can see the heavy rain around Newberry. I mean, that's just copious amounts there of precipitation falling in that area. And we're talking about a situation here where really, I mean, you could start getting some flash flooding concerns. So keep that in mind as well. Since we still have this tornado warning in play. Again, the greens and reds here. We're just continuing to watch them on the board. Here. Southwest 266th Street, County Road 337. Again, just west there, State Highway 45. Just south there, by a little ways, State Highway 26. As we keep watching here, that spin. If it dives too far to the south, we're going to start having more of a threat closer to Archer. I don't know if it's going to dive that far or not, but it seems like it's trying to dive further and further south. So I know they're continuing to one warning to 7:45. I'm not sure. Let's see, what do? They cancel out Gilchrist. Okay, so, and they're continuing to lie to us. So, I think they said have canceled out the other one there and just done it like that, but whatever. There's really one spin right now that we're talking about. County Road 28, Southwest 250th Street. And you can kind of get an idea of where this might be headed over the next little bit. So that's something that's diving further south than it's been diving, it seems like, in a while. So it had been, headed a little more east if you've been watching at times, at least in the points. But now, at times, it's trying to kind of seems like, I mean, these have been switching direction on us at times. So it's something we'll have to watch here. Hopefully it'll just kind of fall apart on us, but it hadn't done that. It just hadn't, for whatever reason, lost that overall structure there to promote the tornadic activity being, the headline here. But again, watching things here in the Weather Center this morning, just trying to give you the latest information to protect you, your friends, and your family. Trying to just check here. I mean, okay, they're going to cancel this everything. It's warning for Gilchrist now, but keep it for Alachua as well at that to about 7:45. And it seems like there may have been a funnel cloud spotted with this as well, so something to keep our eyes on. I'm not 100% sure on that, but may have been a funnel cloud with that as we're looking toward that region. As we continue along. I'm just kind of looking at things here on that Doppler, and it'd be kind of almost hard to spot that because of all this rain around, but you never know. Again, I'm going to go ahead and zoom back on out. West of I-75 still for now, but we just have to watch the process of this here over the next little bit. Again, just holds together. It could be kind of tracking closer, maybe more toward Micanopy now because that southerly jog it seems like it's trying to take. We'll just have to wait and see. We'll just have to wait and see here. I mean, at this point, the way it's been tracking, as long as we've been tracking it, I almost wanted to start tracking it and see how long it's going to be till it's out of our area. I mean, it went southeast at 25 miles an hour. So we're talking about a situation here where about 2 hours until it's out of our counties if it keeps moving in that direction, that speed. I mean, depends on how it tracks. I mean, if it really tracks across Marion, it may take a little bit longer. Just depending on the exact angle it takes to more easterly or maybe more southerly. Even if it's really southerly, though, time doesn't change too much. But we'll see. We'll see what happens as the timeline goes on. I know. Still watching things, still tracking things here in the Weather Center. Been a busy period, and it just doesn't want to end. We got more again, like we said, after these rounds here. So the latest update was about 7:22. A super thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located 7 miles northwest of Archer, 10 miles north of Bronson. It went southeast at 25 miles an hour, so this will be closer to Archer there. Around 7:40 this morning, other locations impacted by this tornadic thunderstorm include Newberry. So again, just gotta keep our eyes on things here on the Doppler radar scans. Obviously, we're just gonna keep tracking things here in the Weather Center as we keep giving you guys these details here because these weather conditions are volatile. These weather conditions are volatile out there on this Friday morning. We're just trying to let you guys know. Just trying to let you guys know here to keep you guys ahead of these storms, and this storm in particular has been one that we've just been having to follow for a long time. So again, hopefully it's kind of trying to weaken some, but it's headed in the direction of Archer, so something to watch over there for sure. As we're looking in the parts of Alachua County. Again, checking some more information right now. Trying to give you guys the very latest on this type of setup. I'm looking at all our different metrics here. All of our different metrics. So bear with me as I do so. Again, I'm hoping the circulation will kind of wind down here over the next little bit. But just never know. Can't lay your guard down, obviously. Again, the heavy rain make it hard to see anything really. We are at sunrise or past, the sun coming up now, so that could help us some. But this is looking more diffuse because we're just so high up, and it's going to get harder to know exactly what's going on here. But just continuing to watch. I'm going to have to kind of look back at where it was earlier on. We had a little bit better perspective maybe on this. I mean, makes it really tricky. But I'm going to switch over to other radars here. I'm going to go ahead and go to a different view real quick. Just bear with me. I know we're kind of trying to figure out where this is headed. And this takes it look like, it takes it on a view that makes it look like it's going to go a little north of Archer, but we'll see. Just never know. Gotta keep watching. I mean, this stuff is a more consistent path in some ways, but a little jogging south is evident here a little in some of the more recent scans. Again, just continuing to follow along here to keep you guys up to date with this tornado warning going to about 7:45 this morning for parts of Alachua County. Again, definitely a nasty situation. I know on the Moody radar here, it's also showing it a little bit more diffuse, but we're higher up, so it's hard to know exactly what's happening because that does not help us here at all when we're that high up. But just have to kind of keep taking shelter here in this area. Interior room away from windows. West here of State Highway 45 is where that spin is. Right now, it's just, we have all that heavy rain in here, so can't really tell what's going on exactly down toward the surface. But again, a nasty setup here. Nasty situation. Just make sure you don't mess around here with these type of threats here in play. Again, it's been a treacherous night. We had all that flash flooding out toward the west around Pensacola. We have these storms further out coming in, and it's just a big mess here, really. But right now, our biggest concern, obviously, our focus is the tornado warning across parts of Alachua County, for at least in the 15 minutes or so. In the 15 minutes or so, parts of Alachua County. Just crazy to see the number of tornado warnings we've seen here during this overnight and early morning period. We never really get that around here. A setup like this, almost hardly nobody gets a setup quite like what we've seen here in this overnight period. I mean, this is so bizarre, but I mean, this rotation looks weaker, but I'm kind of leery about that because we're just so high up on the scans now. There's always a chance here that it could be underdoing it a little, and there could still be something. We've had that happen before, so that's why I kind of don't want to talk as positive about that as I would otherwise. But let's check some other scans. Let's check Tampa. I know it's pretty high up. It doesn't so much on that one. And then we'll try Jacksonville here again. We'll try the Jacksonville site. But again, still a tornado warning. The areas around Archer there in Alachua County this morning. Again, just continuing to watch things. Continuing to track things here with this type of setup on the 16th day of June here in 2023. I'm meteorologist Casey Cloud here in the Weather Center, trying to keep you guys safe and informed, keeping you guys up to date here on what's going on. I know this is the Jacksonville view. It's not much clearer here. Maybe some stronger wind moving toward Archer here at this point. I'm not seeing anything in terms of like a clear debris signature. I don't think at this point. Hopefully not. I will say there's a little something up there that's kind of interesting, but I don't think that's anything to do with the debris signature. I sure hope not. Southwest of Newberry there. I mean, you would think the circulation would be further down, but we've kind of had it lost in here to some degree because different angles we're having to take with this. But again, they're saying that circulation seems to have weakened and broadened for now as it moves east-southeast, but it has a history of cycloning and tightening very quickly, so can't let our guard down here in that type of situation. Then can't be letting our guard down with these type of threats in play. Again, severe thunderstorm with a possible tornado here in Gainesville, and in Alachua County and Gainesville's county at least. But just bear with me. It's been a long night. We're still with you here, and we're still trying to give you guys the very latest because that's our policy, to be on for any tornado warning storm. We went through our 62 counties and we still have that threat here. I mean, very, very, very late on in the winter period. So, I mean, it's early now, after 7:30. Again, just continuing to watch things, continuing to monitor them. Around Bell, you saw some tightening at times. Right now, it looks again a little diffuse, a little weaker, but scans on the radar sometimes a little harder to get a good view of when we're this far away. So that's part of it too. That's part of it too here. Excuse me. Part of it too. As we continue along here to try to protect you, your friends, and your family. Again, we've been up all night because of the situation that we've been in with more than a dozen tornado warnings popping up, believe it or not, in our area here. We've been on for every one of them to give you guys the very latest, but I know we're going to have more severe threats here as we look ahead later on in the day, so gotta keep our eyes on those and be doing so. Hopefully this storm here will finally fall apart one of these days. It's still going right now. Southwest 67th Avenue. That could be where we have some of the nastier weather. They're going to say it's located over Archer here, or 9 miles northeast of Bronson, moving southeast at 25 miles an hour. So it's kind of the latest update here from the Weather Service. The warning goes to 7:45. Tornado warning goes to about 7:45 here this morning. It does look a lot brighter, but I just don't know if that's an illusion here or if we really are getting in a better spot here in terms of maybe it falling apart finally. But the cycle so many times and we're so high up, and we've had tornadoes touch down before without a good visual from this far away. You just never know what could be happening. Never know what could be happening here in this type of threats. So we're just trying to give you guys the very latest here to protect you, protect your friends, and protect your family. Obviously, that's so important here. That's so important. So we don't want you guys to not know exactly what's happening here. When we have these dangerous threats in play. Again, it's moving off toward the southeast here, about 25 miles an hour. That's your movement right now. And again, the spin would be just here, would be just a little bit north and east here, north-northeast here of what it says Archer. Again, right in here, where we're talking, watching this potential, again, track maybe something like this here over the next little bit, maybe toward Micanopy, but hopefully by then, I'm hopeful maybe we'll be in a situation where we'll be tracking more of it, at least being downgraded to a severe thunderstorm warning at that point, and not a tornado warning, but you just never know here in these type of setup circumstances. Again, we're just going to have to keep watching and keep tracking. A lot of winds coming up here as we're getting towards southwest 18th B. That's on the leading edge, so that could be an issue, causing some power outages and the like here this morning for some of the different spots. I mean, that could be something here that is more the threat now than the tornado, but it's hard to say for sure because we're so far away from a radar site. We're having to use a bunch of them that are further away, so we're not able to get the best visual down toward the surface in this type of situation. So again, I'm going to go ahead and go back on out on the view. Okay, that looks a little tighter now. That looks like it's tightening up a bit. That's why we can't let our guard down. But they're going to go ahead and say they're expiring the tornado warning. So it's that type of situation every time we want to kind of let it go and then it starts to tighten back. So hard to say. I mean, the warning when it expired, technically that still means it goes to 7:45. So makes things kind of tricky here for sure. Makes things kind of tricky here in this type of setup. I mean, we still have some nasty weather here between Archer and Arredondo this morning. At least severe thunderstorm type of weather. So we got to deal with that here. Got to get through that heavy rain, and hail could be upward of an inch in diameter. Not out of the question here. So getting a little bit of those hail stones that are falling this morning. I know that's always interesting to have happen. We don't want that, especially as you're headed off to work. I mean, people heading to Gainesville. Can you imagine having a storm like this? I mean, it's pretty much been impeding you here over the last little bit, trying to head on, and there's still a little bit of a rotation here showing up. It looks like it's trying to tighten back a little as we're looking north of Archer by a little ways. As you can kind of see, eventually it's going to be crossing over a southwest Archer road, it would look like here. Maybe between Arredondo and Archer at this point, based on our latest scans and the Dopplers. So I noticed you just got an update on the severe thunderstorm now. Severe thunderstorm warning tornado possible tag near Archer at 10 miles southwest of Gainesville. With southeast at 20 miles an hour. That's kind of the storyline there right now. Gainesville, Archer, and University of Florida. So at least about 7:45. We'll see what they decide to do here at 7:45 to see if they're going to extend a severe thunderstorm warning or issue a new tornado warning or drop everything. My guess would be they extend a new severe thunderstorm warning, but you never know here. That'd be with a tornado possible tag like this one does have. But we'll just wait and see until 7:45. I know it says the tornado warning is expired, but technically it expired at 7:45. It just jumps off the map early, so it kind of gives you a false illusion. Even if the threat might be better for a few minutes and it's looking better, you could always step back and have to issue it again here right around 7:45. It's kind of why we have to stick with it here for a few more minutes. But if 7:45 we don't have a tornado warning on our board, we'll keep the stream going if there's still a warning out there, so the thunderstorm warning, something like that, and then just cut back in if another warning gets issued and stay continuous pretty much if another tornado warning gets issued. So kind of the way we're doing it here at this point, just to kind of give you some inside baseball. But you can kind of see how that trimmed back some. So trimming parts of Alachua County out of this threat area. In southwest 164th Street, maybe where some of the strongest wind would be. with that if there's a circulation. But then down here, Southwest 127th Terrace, Southwest 124th Terrace here, folks. We'll be watching that area as well. That's kind of the leading edge. So maybe that's not reaching the surface. So, but if it is, it could be just winds right on the edge there of the storm itself, kind of causing this. You have maybe you're spinning, and you have some other areas of wind. If that's accurate, I know it's kind of high up, so we don't know for sure if that's accurate or not. But again, just these parameters have been so remarkable here in this setup. I know a lot of times in the past we'll have storms. I mean, this is an atypical setup by so many metrics, but in the past, a lot of times we'll get storms coming off the Gulf and come to Gainesville, and then they finally start to weaken. So maybe as this gets close to Gainesville, it's finally starting to diminish some in strength. That'd be good news after the night we've had, but we still have the tornado parameters up there pretty high. It's just further away from the Gulf, and some of these higher instability values, instead of like 2,000 joules, you have about 1,000 joules per kilogram, which is still maybe enough to work with. And further up to the northeast, maybe like 750, but it's still maybe enough to work with, but maybe not quite as big of a threat overall, which would be some good news. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom back on out here. Again, we have the storms further out in eastern Mississippi. They're going to be an issue here ultimately. So moving pretty quick. So probably about 4 hours away from some of our western counties, give or take. Hope they fall apart with the instability that lacks there, but it looks like it's already starting to build back up here in some of these latest looks at things. Another thing worth noting, I see a Mesoscale discussing this came out of Tallahassee, and it kind of reminds me that it's just crazy we didn't have any type of watch in play. As many tornado warnings as we've had here in the overnight after having the watches in play, and not as many warnings first off. So I know they're talking here in the Mesoscale discussing that the steady state MCS continues to move rapidly east across central and into east central Mississippi at a speed around 55 knots. And is currently riding along the instability gradient, which is oriented from northwest to southeast from southern Mississippi into the Florida Panhandle. And given this orientation, it's possible that the northern portions may weaken over time, with the stronger storms translating southeastward in the warmer air masses there, as we're looking toward parts of the southern Alabama and Florida Panhandle area. That is kind of been cooler to surface to the outflow from the overnight storms, and this may continue though. With the veered westerly winds above this relatively cool layer, it could aid and maybe should aid elevated instability, which may continue to fuel it with the damage and potential. So a lot of give and takes here, just like this whole setup. I mean, you kind of think maybe that can kind of help weaken it, some of that cool air, but then in theory here, things could kind of mix around on us here. So we'll just have to wait and see, obviously. We'll continue to watch. And this is another round they're trying to come into the picture from the west. So again, around Gainesville right now, it looks like, are we getting more rotation again? It looks like the rotation might be trying to tighten back up according to rotation tracker. So maybe a little bit, but not overwhelming. But it's so high up, we don't know for sure. But it'll be crossing over areas there around, it looks like State Road 24 here pretty soon. So we're just going to keep watching, keep tracking here. Again, we've been on for just, I mean, maybe pretty much about the most we've ever been on for, going back over the last several days combined. You can tell my voice having trouble here after this period overnight. Boy, things came together more than anticipated, but still not quite over. You can see some greens and reds here trying right around State Road 24. We have winds there, enough in opposing directions, probably to at least get us a severe thunderstorm warning that right there, which seemingly make that more likely. Southwest 90th lane, at least the wind on the edges there, maybe the inflow or something. It's hard to see because we're just not getting the greatest radar picture. But again, this thread will be pushing on down here toward I-75 over the next little bit. I know if they don't reissue here in a moment, we're going to get this to go away for a minute, but I suspect they'll at least go with a severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible tag as we're looking at areas further down toward the south and east. So that'll be something to watch here as this timeline gets further on and you see it go away for a moment. But again, that might be short-lived. So I know it's fun for a few seconds not seeing that on the screen, but again, it might be short-lived here. I mean, the hail core went down maybe a little, but this far away from the radar, you can't. I mean, this setup, you're not going to really know exactly. So I'm going to go new warning now. Just if a thunderstorm warning for Alachua about to pop up on this map then till about 8:30. Inside have 60-mile-an-hour winds, tornado possible tag. That's kind of the storyline there. There's the new warning. There's a new warning. So let me go ahead and read it out to you. At 7:45, it's severe thunder. Someone's located in Archer, 10 miles southwest of Gainesville, moving east at 25. But again, there's some southerly movement here. Gainesville, Archer, University of Florida, Cross Creek, Noonan's Lake, Rochelle, Micanopy, McIntosh, and Grove Park under this warning. Again, not a tornado warning now, but a severe thunderstorm warning. So that's a little bit more positive news, but we still got to keep our eyes on things here because it's going to always tighten back up. I know the warning goes all the way through Gainesville proper, but it's about downtown Gainesville. But the worst of the wind acts probably south of downtown Gainesville, south of the airport there. As you'll be able to kind of see, maybe that METAR station there right on the edge of the warning. But again, the worst of this right toward the south here. I'm pushing off toward the east, southeast to southeast, I would say at this point in time, kind of following this arrow around Arredondo, it looks like right now. Some of the worst and the worst of the wind, maybe just south of there. And then that kind of pushes towards 75, and then could be watching more warnings after we get past about the 8:30 hour. This warning goes to 8:30, so I'm going to have to keep watching, keep tracking. But since there's no tornado warning in play for now, I know we're watching Gainesville carefully. Don't get me wrong. The worst of this accident here, maybe the hail is coming across 75 there, around areas there from Arredondo and just north. But any type of spin and wind enhancement would be more on the southern flank here. So I'd miss downtown Gainesville and I get along I-75, as we're moving away from town. So that's what it looks like right now anyway. Things can always keep shifting on us. Hopefully this keeps trying to fall apart. But if we get another tornado warning, we'll jump back on immediately. If we get another warning, we'll come back in. But otherwise, I'm just going to go ahead and get our stream back ready to loop again. And again, so the storyline is here. Another situation where we have a tornado warning. We jump back in immediately and stay on like this fully continuously. Listen, a thunderstorm warning will at least come back in and acknowledge it. But then if we have a situation here we don't get any more warnings, and we'll just kind of let this go here as we look later on in that timeline this morning as we still prepare for more storms from the west. So a lot of stuff happening. We're trying to give you the latest. It's been a treacherous, I can't even talk at this point, but a treacherous overnight period here as we try to keep you, your friends, and your family safe and informed. So here's just one of those views of our Doppler right now, and I'll zoom in a little bit so you can at least see Gainesville here. I'm going to take up a mesoscale discussions, and you'll be able to see what's been going on here over the last while with this threat here. It's kind of watching that trajectory. I'll move it up even a little bit more here for you on that viewpoint. That just shows that severe thunderstorm warning in play. So we'll leave this up here. We'll cut the mic for now. If we need to jump back in, of course we will, but otherwise, for now, for the very moment, thanks so much for tuning in and trusting me. Meteorologist Casey Cloud jumping back, and I hate to have to do this, but the Weather Service now becoming more concerned again. So am I. We're starting to see the spin, that circulation once again. I try to tighten back up, so I may get another tornado warning out of this. As I say that, it's a little bit weaker on that scan, but at the time of the updraft and circulation intensifying there and moving more east there. So I've got to be careful here in this type of setup. That last scan looked like we were about to get another tornado warning, like the process has been going for a while. This latest scan more diffuse, but possible tornado still could try to reemerge out of this south of Arredondo, maybe just northeast of Archer. I know the city limits don't kind of follow the boundaries exactly like what you would think, but we just had to jump back in because that really tightened up there in that last scan. The Weather Service was getting concerned. So we could see another red box pop up here as this moves toward I-75 here over the next little bit. So, and we're just going to have to keep our eyes on this here. That's why I jumped back in real quick. I just want to see if we get another one of these tornado warnings here over the next little bit. It's very well possible based on the indications that we're getting. No really discernible debris signature, but let me look in here. I mean, can't really see much, so that's good. But it's a severe thunderstorm warning right now with a tornado possible tag. The core, this is from Archer to Arredondo, moving more there South Gainesville to Micanopy in that vicinity right now. You can see some hail maybe mixing in here. I know the scan before that it was looking like it was getting a little bit more fired up. Even now, it's still showing some nasty characteristics though, so gotta be kind of careful here in this area. It'd be interesting to see what the next frame looks like here on this, because again, we could get a situation where we get another tornado warning and we'd have to stay on continuously, so pretty much continuously like we've been doing. So we'll be taking a break here or there, but not taking many, because it's about protecting you, your friends, and your family. So again, south of Arredondo here, around Archer, getting into these impacts here. Like I said, the movement kind of shifting around the overall storm structure, trying to shift just in a scan or two. Weather Service is acknowledging it, so just wanted to make a point of that here on what I would guess you could almost call like the longest night here in the weather center of it. Again, just continuing to watch. Maybe some hail maybe moving in there, parts of Gainesville around State Road 331. Over there, you can begin some hail mixing in here. That'd be kind of interesting. I wish we had a radar closer. We could really see finer details like what we saw further out toward the west. That would really help us here in these warning situations. But I know we're still looking at this, still monitoring this here, and trying to give you the latest updates. So Southwest 75th away. Looking at the situation here. Where we just had to make sure we don't get another spin up tornado warning out of this, because we had more than a dozen here in our coverage area during the overnight. If you're just joining me and wondering why my voice sounds the way it does, it's because we've been talking for most of the night here. We also had the catastrophic flash flooding toward Pensacola there, with just, measuring the rain not just in inches but in feet pretty much. And we have more storms on the way. So, okay, that latest scan's a little weaker again. They haven't reissued a tornado warning, so that's a good sign. It is moving more easterly though. We'll keep watching. Maybe moving more, there further up between Gainesville or Arredondo, Micanopy, but it could shift back directions again, and the circulation could tighten back up again. So we'll be watching, we'll be tracking. We'll go ahead and try to take another break here. Let me go ahead and get our loop ready again as we keep on tracking the situation. Severe thunderstorm warning at 8:30 for parts of the Alachua County area. We generally stay on for something like this, but we're really prioritizing the tornado warnings at this point, since we've just had so much significant severe weather here over our region over the last days, and we still got more we have to cover. And some of that could be more the higher end severe thunderstorm warnings as the stuff from the west tightens together toward the east, or at least just having to, post to them at the minimum if we have just the base type of warnings here at points. It's just kind of something we have to play by ear here, because not having to have to deal with a situation like this very much, if any, such a long duration type of threat like what we've had across our region here, that just doesn't seem to want to quit, like a tropical setup that didn't want to budge here. So it's kind of the storyline right now. We're going to keep tracking this, and if we need to break back in, we will. Again, new warning, we'll be breaking back in, a new tornado warning, breaking back in immediately, giving you the latest information. And then if there's no more warnings, we'll cut the stream when that warning situation does come to an end, which might be around 8:30 if we weren't getting an extension after that. But it seems like the way it's been going, we'll probably still get at least another severe thunderstorm warning out of this, or a flash flood warning or something like that. So keep it tuned to Cloud Weather. We'll keep you guys up to date.